Let your imagination soar with Audible. With stories across every genre, from expert advice to fantasy, you'll be inspired to imagine new worlds, possibilities, and ways of thinking. Listening can even lead to a positive change in your mood, habits, and overall well-being. As an Audible member, you'll get to choose one title a month to keep from their entire catalog, including bestsellers and new releases. Allow yourself to delve into the spooky this season by listening to classics like Stephen King's The Shining and Pet Sematary. There's more to imagine when you listen. New members can try Audible free for 30 days. Visit audible.com/imagine or text imagine to 500 500. That's audible.com/imagine or text imagine to 500 500.
And welcome back to Little Cuts, our weekly minisode where we dig into things that we've been watching and playing recently. I'm Terry.
I am Mary Beth, and we're talking about Foggy Towns, my current hyperfixation, Downpours and Lovecraft, aka my favorite thing, new anime perfect for Halloween, and Mysterious Lines and Rupturing Bodies.
Heck yeah, we are.
Really quick, self-promo time. If you are going to Nightmares Film Festival in Columbus, Ohio next weekend, my movie is playing on Sunday at 2:30. So if you're coming to Nightmares or if you're in Columbus, Ohio and want to come see a cool movie on Sunday, mine's playing. And I'm nominated for Best Feature and Best Director.
Heck yeah.
So, come chill if you are in that area. Yeah, that's it. I just wanted to share that.
Continue with the promo, though. I just pulled up Vinegar Syndrome, and there is only 328 copies left of Swallowed limited edition out there, so it's going.
And Terry and I have 2 commentary tracks. We are not together on this one. I did one with Carter and Jose Colon, and then Terry did one with friend of the show, Joe Lipsett.
Yeah, and we looked at the film through a queer lens. So you got a lot of stuff there, and yeah, gay.
And I just talk Carter and Jose talk about really cool behind the scenes stuff in mine. So, and also Carter rules, and we love him, and it's really cool that this movie is getting a Blu-ray release finally because it is gay grossness at its finest. So, go support.
I love this the detail that I guess like the plot synopsis that they include on here, and I've seen this used before for this movie, but I just love it. Follows 2 best friends on their final night together with a nightmare of drugs, bugs, and horrific intimacy. Horrific intimacy. What a great way to describe what happens in this film.
Right? It's like literally what that was like my vibe. It's so intimate and disgusting, but it's like it's like what I want to make in my movies. So thank you, Carter, for inspiring this little queer filmmaker.
Yeah, it's great. So great.
Speaking of not even anything remotely like that, it's like gay, but I don't know, not this one. Silent Hill 2? Nope, Foggy Towns! Why did I do that? All right, hold on. Oh, fucking Christ almighty. I love this. I love Little Cuts because it's like the episode where I can show my ass about how like ridiculous I am, and it's like not in front of a guest, and it's nice to be like, no, I'm not put together. Okay, anyway, not related to anything. We're talking about Foggy Towns.
You better be keeping this in, by the way.
I will. I was gonna edit it out, but now it's kind of funny, so I'll now keep
it is
in.
really funny. Yes. So, I've been playing Silent Hill 2, the remake from Blooper Team, and I'm happy to say that this game fucks.
I'm so happy. I'm so happy.
As someone who simultaneously believes that Silent Hill 2 is one of the best games ever made, and also dislikes every single Blooper Team game that I've played, I was very trepidatious for this game because I was like, I don't know if they're going to be able to pull this off because this game holds such a special place in my heart. And they do, at least so far. I'm only about like 4 hours into it. But this game...
I did not realize the games that they did previously.
Yeah. So for those that aren't aware, so they did two Layers of Fear games that I've casually played, and I was like, I don't know, it's not great. They did Blair Witch, which Blair Witch, which is I found so incredibly boring.
Yeah.
So incredibly boring. And then The Medium, which I was not a fan of. I played it a little bit. I was like, this is trying to be Silent Hill, but it's not doing that. So like I was very worried about this game. And they nailed it. They kicked it out of the park. It looks absolutely fantastic. They've kept, while they've changed some things, they've kept the storyline. They've kept some of the dialogue. They've kept the music. They've kept the look of the game. This is nailing everything that I loved about Silent Hill 2, but modernizing it in such an incredible way. For those that aren't familiar with the game, you play as I forgot what his name is, so please cut this off. You play as James Sunderland, who is a widower, and he receives a letter from his dead wife that says, "Hey, I'm in this town, Silent Hill, that we loved. Come find me." And he shows up at the outskirts of Silent Hill, and it is incredibly foggy, and the road into Silent Hill is like covered up and broken, so he has to go on foot through this creepy wilderness into the cemetery, where he meets this girl that is looking around at the gravestones and tells him, "I wouldn't go to Silent Hill, it's weird," which is the understatement of the year, because as he goes there, he finds horrific Jacob's Ladder-esque monsters, I would say. Like, this game is very much influenced by Lynch aesthetics, as well as Jacob's Ladder, and the kind of way in which creepiness like hides interiority. What were you gonna say?
So, is that the same for the original one too, like the original Silent Hill 2, or just
Yes.
this? Okay, cool.
Yep.
Because
Yeah.
I know a lot about Silent Hill 2, I just haven't really played it, so I'm not as familiar with it. And then I hadn't played it when I was younger, and then the ship kind of sailed, and like I'll actually explain this when we talk about next. I didn't really do emulators, and then I just like watched people kind of play it passively, but that's why I'm so excited, because now I can like play it, but it doesn't have the fixed camera thing that really pisses me off.
Yes, that's like, so
Sorry
that
guys,
is one
I'm
of the
a bad gamer, but that fixed camera shit's hard as fuck.
anyone that talks about, so okay, that's actually a very good point.
Sorry,
though, because
didn't mean to cut you off, but I was just like,
no,
that shit
the
fucking sucks.
the controls in that era of games with the fixed camera angles, they called them tank controls, because it really felt like you were walking a tank as opposed to an actual human being. It made the fixed camera angles like made it so incredibly cinematic, and also heightened some of the fear, because you could only see what they were showing you, and so things could be hiding around places. And so I was really worried about how this was going to affect the game, because all of that kind of very stylish cinematic moments. I remember specifically there's a moment, I think it was in this one. I get some of the openings with this in the first Silent Hill confused, but there's this one moment I believe in the original Silent Hill 2, where you are running through, the wilderness, and this is right as you're trying to get to the town, and the camera shifts until it's like in the forest, and it's like moving with you, so it looks like you're being stalked by something. So it did a lot of really cool stuff like that I was like, you can't really replicate that if the camera is always behind the guy's shoulder. So I was kind of worried about that, but it works really well. And once you get into like some of the creepier areas, the creature designs, the sound of the radio, because you carry a radio with you, and it crackles anytime there's something horrifying near you, and it just heightens that kind of fear.
A monster Geiger counter. That's nice.
Yes. I was also a little worried, because what I really love about the original particularly the first two Silent Hills, is the kind of VHS aesthetic of it, where there's a lot of like film grain and there's a lot of like
Yes.
imperfections, and it looks gross. It looks gritty. I've talked on the show a couple of times about the first time I watched Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which was on a VHS tape that was been played so many different times, and it added to like that kind of grossness of it and cursed feeling of it. And that's what those original games felt like. And so I was
Yeah.
worried moving to like a pristine 4K, gorgeous Unreal Engine, yada yada yada, if it would lose it. And it kind of does, I'm not going to lie, but there is a really cool filter called 90s mode, and if you turn that on, it like kind of desaturates everything. It doesn't necessarily mimic
Ooh.
the original games, but it gives it a much more desaturated look, and it feels a bit more cursed in a way. But this game, this game is a masterpiece, and this remake is so far nailing everything that I loved about the original Silent Hill 2. This is a very dark game, and it's why it holds a special place in my heart, because this was the first time I played a game where I was like, oh, there's something more going on here than just shoot monsters, the campiness of
Yeah.
Resident Evil. No, this is about trauma, about grief, about sexual assault, about like very dark, deep things that I did not know a game could explore back when I first played this, back in 2001. I was 20, and it was like a revelation for me. And
Yeah.
I am so happy that this remake honors that original game and is actually really scary.
That makes me happy because I know that these games hold such a special place in people's hearts, and
Yeah.
especially in how they address trauma. I think this is a game series that, like, no matter, I think how weird, I know it's kind of, people have a lot of feelings about how the games go as it progresses, but it, I've read a lot of work and actually like published a lot of cool writing about just like the complexities of these games and what they are doing with the horror genre in a game. And I think in a way that we don't really see.
No.
At least like it's got that, like, not to be pejorative, but like it's the elevated horror of video games. It
Yes.
feels like a little bit,
Yes.
like not even a little bit, but the whole thing, because all of these games are like allegories for like all kinds of like fucking crazy trauma, and it's like I loved it because it's got that thing to me where it's like, oh cool, it feels like all of my intrusive thoughts kind of come to life in a way that's actually weirdly
Yeah.
comforting, of like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, that's what I watched. Like the movie. Yes, I know the movie is very different than the game, but I love the movie. It's
I
fucking
still love the
awesome.
movie.
It rules so much. Watching that woman get pulled apart by a vagina by fucking barbed wire is one of the defining moments of my young childhood, because I was like, what? You can do that? Yes, you can. But I think that these games really are so special with how they resonate with people, and I'm really glad that this is good. I'm excited to play it. I'm excited that it's really nice to see that these like video game remakes that they're doing with Resident Evil and with Silent Hill are like being taken seriously and are like being done in a really cool way to keep the legacy on. I understand with like we get all, I talk shit about like franchises and remakes, but it's cool that they're doing this with these games and like, updating them. I think that's cool. That's it.
Yeah, yeah, no, I'm very happy, and as a fan of the Silent Hill games, even the ones that aren't the greatest, like
Yeah.
this series is so special for me. It's a game series that even when they don't get good reviews, I'm gonna go out and buy them because I just love the feeling and the aesthetic and what they're doing, and the fact that it has been 12 years, I want to say, since the last Resident Evil game, because Konami is the game publisher is shit,
Really?
and they
Was
canceled.
it that long? Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. I get. Oh my god.
Yeah, because we almost got Silent Hills from Kojima and Guillermo del Toro, and that would have been fucking amazing. And they canceled it, and then everything went dark. And so the fact that this exists now is just, it's amazing. And the fact that it's good, it's amazing.
Yay. I'm very excited. And it's
Yeah.
just very affirming to hear this. Love that forever.
I can't wait to play some more of it. But speaking of playing, I want to hear about your current hyperfixation.
Oh my god. So, okay, I played this game all the time as a kid. It was my favorite game ever. I played it on my clear purple Game Boy Advance. And
Okay.
I have now figured out how to use emulators to play Wario Land 4 for Game Boy Advance.
Nice.
Because it was like randomly the other night, Steve and I, oh no, we watched the Super Mario Brothers movie the other night. We got really stoned.
Wait, the 90s one or the new one?
No. The new one, the animated
Okay.
one. Like that's
Okay.
like well, I guess the old one was also serious, but whatever. We watched the animated movie because Steve has been curious, and so have I. And we listened to a podcast making fun of it, and we were like, well, let's just get high and watch it. Fuck it. Like, who cares? And I was like, man, I miss Wario Land 4. Because, again, like, that was my game as a kid. Why? I don't, like, fully know. But, so watching it, I said, I need to download an emulator and play that game right now. Because there is no other way I'm going to be able to play it. And I gotta do it. So, my ass found an emulator, and I've been playing Wario Land 4 for days now, and it is so nice, and it is a soothing part of my brain. And so, Wario Land 4, for the people unfamiliar...
So I was going to ask, because I've never played a Wario Land. That is a series I have never played, and I never had a Game Boy Advance.
You didn't? Did you never have a Game
No.
Boy?
I had a Game Boy. I went from a Game
Okay.
Boy to the Nintendo DS.
Okay. So, like, my parents didn't really let me, I was the girl, so, like, video games weren't really a thing, but I could play the handhelds,
Right.
because somehow that wasn't, like, girly. I play, like, Pokemon and Wario Land. So, Wario Land 4, specifically, they're all different. I didn't play any of the other ones because the other ones were on Game Boy Color, and I got Wario Land for Christmas, and it was the only one on Game Boy Advance, and that was the only one I played. But and it's like they're all standalone. They're all just kind of like. But this one is you basically have Wario goes to go find treasure. Things are weird, and then he discovers this like dungeon, and there's 5 chambers. And in each chamber, there are 4 levels and a boss. So it's basically like a dungeon. It's like a dungeon-ish kind of game. And you have to clear each thing. And it's like very basic, very like Game Boy Advance like vibes. But it's it's difficult because the cool thing about it is that a lot of the enemies, they don't actually hurt you. They give you effects. Like there's a bee that stings you and your cheeks puff up and it takes you up to parts of the map you could only get to when your cheeks are inflated.
Oh, okay.
There's like a horror dungeon, and there are these ghosts that hit you with these like green slime balls, and you turn into a zombie, and then you can fall through the floor to get to things faster or get to things you wouldn't have access to when you had a normal human body. So it's like there's just some really cool stuff going on with like abilities, and also the level design is really clever, and it's just been like it's very nostalgic for me, but it's also just like very comforting. And I've just had like a wild couple of weeks. My cat has diabetes now. So that's a fun new adjustment. And like, so it's been a lot of like, can I just do something that's fun, but I also like don't have to try that hard. And that is exactly what this is. And it's perfect.
I love that. It's so funny because I've never played a Wario Land game. And yet, whenever I would play Mario Kart or Mario Party, I'm always Wario. And to the point where, like,
Wario.
I'm a Wario, I'm a gonna win.
I'm a gonna win.
That line is etched in my brain, and I will just randomly just say it sometimes when I'm playing a game. I'm a Wario, I'm a gonna win.
Oh, yeah.
Because I love him so much.
Yeah, Steve and I will just go, I'm a gonna win. Whenever we play anything or do something, like, we just say that. So, I get it. I understand.
I love that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I never had a Game Boy Advance.
Okay. That was my...
I don't know why.
That was my fave. That was my fave. That was, like... Because they were coming out when I was younger, so, like, those were the Christmas presents when they came out, because, like, it literally... They were... I still have them, actually, and they still work. Like, that's the thing. Those old systems, they last, baby.
Yeah. Yeah,
the only
they
thing
do.
is, like, the batteries in the games die, which I thought was I did not know about. But, yeah. So it was fun to, like, download an emulator for the first... Actually, no. I played emulators a little bit in, like, high school, but I just never really have messed with it much, so...
I've never played an emulator either.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
So now I'm like... What other games do I miss and want to dive down and start playing again? So, yeah.
Heck yeah.
That's Wario Land 4.
I love that for you, though.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna move, I think, away from video games to Downpours and Lovecraft.
Yes. So this movie premiered at Beyond Fest this last week, and it is the follow-up. It's Christian Ponce's follow-up to History of the Occult, a movie that I have not seen. I've not seen History of the Occult. You have, right? You liked it, yeah. Is it found footage or like a broadcast
kind of
type?
Yeah, it's like half broadcasty Ghostwatch vibes, half narrative, like traditional narrative.
Okay. Well, this is a traditional narrative, but it's called A Mother's Embrace, and it is set in 1996 in Rio de Janeiro, where a huge, in real life, this also happened, a huge storm tore through. And we follow Anna, a firefighter who has been on 2 months of leave because she had some psychological break while she was trying to help clear out a building and did not do what she needed to do. So they've had her on basically administrative leave, and she is now been brought back into the fold. And as they are taking care of some issues around the town while the town is about ready to experience one of the worst rainstorms ever, she sees some weird guy in a warehouse with like white face paint on his face, and then out of the corner of our eye, she doesn't see this, there's something that slithers in the darkness, and then they get called to go to a collapsing nursing home that gives gothic aesthetic of this old building that is crumbly, and all of the elderly people that are in it are walking around like zombies, and they're sort of just sitting there staring off into space. It's very creepy, and they go there because they got a alarm that something was happening there. They show up and everyone's like, no. The people that run the place are like, no, there's nothing going on. And they're like, well, you guys have to evacuate this place because this place is crumbling. And so then they want to try to help evacuate them. And then the residents have a different idea in store, and it sort of goes from there. The second act is a little slow. It's definitely set mostly in this crumbling nursing home. There's a lot of walking around, I will say, in the second act. But there's some interesting things that happen, and then as like the more eldritch things start to, cosmic horror-esque type stuff starts to happen, it like really starts to come together in a very fascinating way. So I think it's a little overly ambitious for what they ended up being able to do, but I had a great time with this. It's a fun little, somewhat of a creature feature, but not really. Definitely eldritch, Lovecraftian vibes. Love the setting. Love that it's set during like a rain storm, a huge rainstorm. And I love the kind of gothic crumbling aesthetic and the creepiness of them sort of walking through this creepy place. So I think it's going to be good. I don't know if it has like any, or it is good. It's a good movie.
Didn't you watch it? I was like,
I think it's going to be good. No.
It's gonna be good. Okay.
No, I think my mind was going in two different places. I don't know if it has a release plan yet.
Okay.
I really enjoyed it. Did I even say what it was called? A Mother's Embrace.
Mm-hmm.
Did I say it was a Mother's Embrace? Okay.
Yep.
I am. My mind is like fracturing on as we're recording. Apparently,
I like it. No, I like it because it makes me feel seen. Just brain glitching out, like whoop. Because I really liked History of the Occult. I get you with his pacing because the History of the Occult was kind of similar. So it sounds like he has this like a similar pacing thing. But he's good at crafting scares and crafting weird. So I'm glad to hear that.
And this is weird. There's the opening part of this movie is Anna as a little girl, and her mom is taking her to like this carnival. But like the way it's set up initially, it almost seems like her mom is trying to poison her. Like this weird, it's very weird. But then she gets to this carnival and they end up going into this like exhibit and there's like veins and a baby and it looks like they're in a womb. Like it's some very weird vibes going on in this film.
Veins and a womb.
Yeah. Very...
You walk into a fun house and it's a womb. What do you do?
Basically. So there's a lot of weird things going on. You said run.
Yeah, run.
Yeah.
But cool. I joke, but that sounds cool.
Yeah, it was fun. A new anime, perfect for Halloween.
Okay. Dan to Dan is here, everyone. I am on the Dan to Dan train. So, Dan to Dan is a pretty popular manga series. And it is now on both Crunchyroll and Netflix. New episodes coming out every week, which is fucking annoying. But it literally starts like with a girl and a guy arguing about aliens versus ghosts. And they go, like, it was basically like, you gotta find a ghost and prove they're real. Well, you gotta get abducted by aliens and you'll see that they're real. And the first episode is them finding out that both things are real and realizing, oh shit. And then they kind of go from there. So it's just like, it's absolutely insane. Like, madness. And every frame is just like chaotic, beautiful madness. And it's silly and it doesn't make a lot of sense logically. But it's really, it's so dedicated. Like, if anyone's ever watched Fooly Cooly, which is FLCL, if you've ever watched that, kind of got those vibes in terms of, like, it doesn't make a ton of sense, at least in the first episode, but, like, you really like the vibe and where it's going, so you don't care. That is what this is to me currently.
So, I've never seen Fooly Cooly, but as I was Googling it, I think it was a review on IMDb that pops up. It says it's like a lighthearted David Lynch anime.
Yeah, no, it really is.
Fooly Cooly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's weird.
Interesting.
And then when she gets abducted by aliens, they unlock her psychic powers because her grandmother was a medium, and she unlocks her powers, and then they basically like team up with people to fight spirits and aliens. It's like a fucking ghost hunter, alien monster fighter show. And it's really cool. And it's like funny, but it's very horror. Like,
okay.
So that's why I say it's perfect for Halloween, because again, it's like not terrifying, it's not super bloody, but it's like very much like ghosts and monsters with like kind of a lighthearted chaos to it. Okay. I mean, of course, they're premiering it in October for a reason. It is like the perfect thing to watch. And I'm watching the dub.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm watching the dub, which is very good. I don't always watch the dub, but I think because this is such a good anticipated one, it's a good one. So if you watch the dub, it is good. And they've got really good voice, like a bunch of really good voice actors too. But yes, that is coming out every week on Crunchyroll and on Netflix. So wherever you want to watch your weird, deranged anime, you gotta watch it. And the theme song is really good, that I can't stop listening to it. So.
Anime always have great theme songs, I have to say.
Oh, it's so good. And now I need to read the manga because it's like, this is what happens. It's like, I watch the show and I'm like, well, no, I have to know what happens. And if you read the manga, you know. And
Yeah,
seeing the manga. Excuse me.
the only reason I know about this is Polygon did an article where I forget, I think the headline was something about like the creators of Dan to Dan know or also share your concern about honoring the manga or something to that effect. And so I was like, oh, so that must be a new anime that's coming out. That's all I knew about it, but I knew about it simply because of Polygon.
Yep.
Well, that sounds like fun.
Yes. No, I'm trying. Okay, I need to not look for this right now. But no, I want to read it. But anyway, yes, Don Don, if you would like to watch something kooky, it is now. It is airing now. Every week. Alright, and then we're finishing this off. I did not watch 30 Rock this week, y'all. It's been a rough one. Oops. So we'll talk about that next week. But we're finishing off with Mysterious Lines and Rupturing Bodies. This is something we have both watched. But Terry, what is this?
Speaking of things that are premiering weekly, this is the new James Wan produced TV show that is just premiered yesterday as of the drop of this episode. First two episodes of Teacup, which is based on a novel by Robert. Why did I just forget his last name? It's based on the book Stinger by Robert R. McCammon, who is he was like a really popular. He was sort of like I'm trying to think of how to say this without being like disrespectful. Like a Walmart version of Stephen King. I don't. There's going to be some Robert McCammon fan that is going to be like coming for me, but I tried reading his books when I was a kid, and I felt like, okay, this is a second tier Stephen King. So it didn't really do it for me, I will say. But this is based on his novel Stinger, and I would recommend if you want to watch the show, you do not go Google Stinger, because the plot synopsis of that
Don't do it. I just ruined everything for myself.
Yeah, the plot synopsis of that book will ruin whatever is happening in this TV show. So don't do what Mary Beth just did.
Don't do it, because then you'll also find out what Dean Koontz's hair looks like. Sorry, I googled it and then this picture came up, and I was like, he's got a helmet head. Why do all of these men look like this? I don't understand, guys. Anyway, back on track. Track.
So Teacup is about a family played by Yvonne Strahovski and Scott Speedman.
Oh my god, I interviewed him at Fantastic Fest and I almost passed out because he was so hot.
That man.
He has the most beautiful eyes I've ever seen, and he like looked me in the
does.
eyes, and I was like, "Hi."
He is someone that I don't think I could interview, because I would probably just be incredibly red-faced the entire time, because I'm like, I have loved him ever since Underworld.
Oh, I forgot he was in Underworld.
He's shirtless through most of Underworld. It seems
terrible
like.
hair, but that's okay.
That's okay. A lot of people had terrible hair at that time.
We forgive it.
We do.
Anyway.
But yes, so they are a married couple living on a farm, and they have kids, and she is a veterinarian. Not sure what he does, except he's hot, and he is cheating on his equally hot wife with a neighbor. And said neighbor and her husband show up at the farm one night because their horse is injured, was acting strange, and is injured. While they're trying to help him, strange things start to happen. There's this woman walking through the forest, muttering strange things. There's a man in a gas mask that is like the image, the promotional image that keeps showing up for this show, and he is spray painting this blue line along the farm. And then it turns out that if you cross this line, your body sort of ruptures and kind of, it seems like almost calcifies in some way. Like it just, your guts start to explode, and then you start to like curl up
Like
into
it's like
a
seems
pose.
like
Like,
pretty much like the worst way to die I've ever seen.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
I will say, pretty bad, pretty
yeah. It
horrific.
looks incredibly painful. Um, and he holds up a sign saying, "Don't trust anyone." And that is all I want to tell you about this show. And again, if
Yeah,
you go look up Stinger, it is going to tell you what's happening. So don't do that.
you don't.
Because this show, from what I can gather from the plot synopsis of Stinger, it reminds me a little bit of Under the Dome by Stephen King, where it's like we're gonna trap people inside, and then all of the racism and the horrible things that happen to people are like contained in a, to use a term from this TV show, in a teacup, and they can't escape. It's sort of like this idea of like a storm in a teacup. There's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to hide from, and it is absolutely horrible for everyone involved. So that's sort of what's going on here. They assembled a great team for this. The directors each do 2 episodes, and they include Chloe Okuno, John Hyams, who did the
Oh
fantastic Alone,
yeah.
and
Yes.
then E.L. Katz, who
Ah, fuck yeah! I just talked to him.
did
He did Azrael.
yeah. How was Azrael?
I loved it.
Yeah, I really want to see it.
I loved it. It's like mileage may vary if you are into the
Okay.
gimmick, but I think it's incredibly well done. I think it's a really cool kind of like exercise in storytelling in a really
Okay.
fascinating way. And like, I think it's a little clunky, but I don't think that's a bad thing. I think they did something really cool and did a really cool job world building with no dialogue. And also Samara Weaving is just like a fucking queen.
Oh,
And she just gets her ass
love her.
kicked.
Love
Like the
her.
entire movie, she's getting her fucking ass kicked up and down the street. But it's just like so good. Anyway.
Nice.
Yeah, wow, they really got a good fucking team for this. Holy shit. I
They
didn't
sure
realize.
did, and each one gets to direct 2 episodes of the 8 episodes. And it's really cool because each one directs back-to-back episodes. So the 2 that just got released were directed by E.L. Katz. The next 2 are by Chloe. The next 2 are by John Hyams. And they're releasing weekly with 2 episodes. The first 4 episodes are very fast paced. They're about 30 minutes each,
Yeah.
so it goes really quickly. I then found out that after those first 4 episodes, at least the next episode jumps up to an hour long. So I don't know if that continues or not. I've only seen the first 4 episodes of this, and Mary Beth,
Yeah.
you've seen the first 2, I think you
I've
said?
seen the first 3.
3? Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
What did you think of this show?
I am like obsessed with it because
Yeah.
I think again I haven't gotten super far into it, but I think what I love that it's pretty shocking because it's got the Stephen King vibe. It's got the kind of
Yes.
like if you've watched kind of any Stephen King adaptation, it very much has that vibe of a family and people stuck together in a rural area, but everyone's kind of hot at the same time. And a weird circumstance happens and they have to put aside their differences. And it's like very that, but I also wasn't expecting it to get as fucked up as it does, like when she gets
yeah.
hurt. So I think that was when I thought, okay, there's something different happening here. And I like that because again, I'm so used to a lot of, especially because this is Peacock, reeling things in and not having the best budget for effects. And seeing what this looks like is actually pretty damn impressive.
Yes.
It feels like they're listening to people in terms of like, and understanding what fans like, even if they're not big horror people. That's the kind of thing that gets people talking. And it's a very good, and they got a good roster of horror people who understand tone and everything. So, I'm really excited to watch more of it because it's really good. I got the opportunity to interview a couple. I got to interview the showrunner Ian McCullough, who
Yeah.
did Yellowstone, which I've never watched. So
I know it's so surprising because he's the showrunner of this, and you look back at his filmography in terms of TV, and it's Chicago Fire, Yellowstone, and Deputy. Like,
it's
so not
weird.
this.
But James Wan approached him, and I think because Yellowstone is huge. Like I
Oh
did
yeah.
not realize. Like I always forget that like Yellowstone is what everyone's dad watches, but it's like the great
Yep.
uniter. It's like every person watches Yellowstone, and I think when James Wan was like, that guy knows how to grab an audience. Like, and so how do we do that? And like, how do we harness that name? And the guy, he's like covered in tattoos, which was not what I was expecting. He has like
Oh,
knuckle
really?
tattoos. He's like this like skinny hipster guy, like older hipster that has just like sleeves of tattoos, which I guess I was just like not expecting from the guy who did Yellowstone. Like, maybe it's, I don't know. But
Same.
he's
Same.
like he's a horror guy. So it's cool to see him being able to stretch those muscles and do something that feels familiar but also is able to stand out as well. And I'm again, like I said, I'm excited to see how that continues because it does feel like a very much like a Stephen King miniseries. So I'm hoping it continues to like stick out more as it goes along and makes itself feel a little less like the predecessors. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But I think if you're looking for something spooky to watch, I will also be talking about another Peacock show probably next week that's coming out. So now's the time if you want spooky things to maybe sign up for like a month and watch.
I know streaming services are like a fucking pain in the ass and figuring out which ones to have, but I will say Peacock is one of the better ones to have right now, and not just because I use it to solely watch Bravo television. They have a lot of really good seasonal programming, and honestly, so does Paramount Plus. Like, Apartment 7A is really good. I don't care what the haters say. I think it's incredible.
I need to watch it still.
Natalie Erica James, Forever and Ever, and it's also co-written by a woman. John Krasinski produced it, which I think is insane. But there's some like it's hard to keep up, but those two I think have some really good Halloween horror stuff, and they're also like Paramount always is actually pretty up on horror in terms of the like yearly stuff. So if you're looking for something to try, those two I think are the good ones for October for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Next week, we are continuing with season 5 of 30 Rock with episode 11, Mrs. Donaghy, and episode 15, It's Never Too Late for Now. That's what we were going to do this week, but we're kicking it forward one week. But speaking of streaming services and horror, a little horror adjacent, who are we talking to on Monday, Mary Beth?
Oh, this was such a delightful conversation. We are chatting
really
with screenwriter Ian McDonald. He wrote the film Woman of the Hour, which is Anna Kendrick's directorial debut, which is now on Netflix. And with him, he brought Seven. We are finally talking about David Fincher's Seven. And I don't think it could have been with a better person. And you guys get to hear stories about how I used to like make boys make out with me while we watch this movie, because I have always been a fucking weirdo. So get hype. Ian's really cool. So, and
Clarification, it's not out yet. Comes out the 18th.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, y'all. It comes out the 18th. I cannot remember what day of the week it is. So, Woman of the Hour comes out next Friday. Yeah. I was like, what day? Mm-hmm. So, this will be an anticipatory conversation. So, get excited. And it's really good, guys. So, we wouldn't lie to you.
No, this actually is one of my favorite episodes we've recorded this year.
Yeah.
I had such a great time talking about this movie and dissecting Seven. So it's a good episode. It really is. It is one of my favorites.
It is. So listeners, you have heard from us. We want to hear from you. Did you play something that we talked about? If any of you played Wario Land 4 this week, I would really love to know. I would absolutely love to know. Or watched anything that we watched, let us know. You can send us an email at scarredforlifepodcast@gmail.com, or you can reach out to us on social media. I am at MB McAndrews on Twitter and at MB.McAndrews on Instagram.
And I'm a Gaily Dreadful everywhere.
And follow us on everything, the podcast. What the fuck did that? At Scarred Podcast on Twitter and Blue Sky. At Scarred for Life Podcast on Instagram.
And it has been a year since we've had a review, so if you would not mind going out there if you haven't yet and give us a review, a rating, make sure you're subscribed, and if you want to help support us, we have a Patreon.
Thank you to Eric Parr for artwork. Thank you to Sean Keller for music. Thank you everyone for listening. Please stay safe out there, but most importantly, stay creepy.
And until next time.